jeez.
Always professional at 216 the net.
Boy, nothing but the best here.
Next time I come to town, I'm doing this live with you.
You have to.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Coming in the studio.
Maybe we should go to Vail.
I love that.
Yeah.
We can do a mountainside broadcast.
That would be
how
cool.
amazing.
That'd be
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, let's go.
Changing
Let's do this.
perception.
No kidding.
Welcome to Lisa's Changing Perceptions. Lisa is the creator of Changing Perceptions. Through life experience, she's discovered that we all suffer internal wounds that guide us. We live in a society that puts a label and expectation on everything and everyone. So many are in constant battle with themselves, never winning the war or ever feeling good enough. Lisa's Changing Perceptions is a show that offers tools and guidance that will assist you in discovering you and unlocking the chains of pain that bind you. You can reach Lisa at www.lisaschangingperceptions.com or give her an email at lisaschangingperceptions@gmail.com or maybe even a call. Why not? 262-573-7055. Today, this is episode 3 of Living from the Heart through Grace. And of course, it wouldn't be Grace without our good friend Julie Andreessen.
Hello.
Good morning.
I love the you always you read it in so beautiful.
And I never
so
get
beautiful. And why the music's going, he's back there, got his groove on, and he's reading it in so beautiful. And then just
I don't. One day I'll get it. There's so much energy. We're fired up here. And then that music comes in and goes, oh.
Ugh.
And he's literally back there going,
I was trimming that. That was good.
he's getting his jam on.
Good morning, Gary. How are you, buddy? How's Singapore
I
this
am
morning?
hanging in there.
Yeah.
And contrary to your belief, I am full moon affected and
Good
riled up.
morning. Good evening from Singapore, indeed. How's
Yeah.
that? Hi, Gary.
That's it.
This morning, I am here with the beautiful Julie Adrianson. She's doing our monthly Living with Grace, but we're kind of doing the living with from the heart with Grace this month. So she joined us this morning. She took a much needed little break last week, so we moved it.
And this is the last show of this year for you.
It is?
Yeah, I won't.
You're not going to be here the 26th?
I will not be here.
Oh, so we do not have a show next week. I'm just now finding out. Again, the professionalism at 216.
It's all about the communication.
That is living from the heart right there.
Or living off the cuff. I guess
Yeah.
it could be similar. So yes, I guess we will not be doing a show next week.
It's 11 p.m. He's heading into supper territory. Well, you guys eat late over there.
11 o'clock.
You're a late eater.
Yeah, I'll say.
I'm working
before we start our typical banter that people seem to enjoy. I get so much good feedback when you're on the show with me, so I'm just going to kind of suck your energy up for my show.
Yeah, I'm good. It seems I spelt my name wrong.
You spelt your name wrong?
Yeah.
Adrianson?
Yeah, there's an S in there. It shouldn't be.
Oh, there is an S. I didn't see it either, but there is.
Good gravy.
I also thought that
Now we're off to a smashing
start. I was going to say, again, another fine example of the professionalism.
Yeah.
You look marvelous.
Something's got to carry me.
That's right.
Jules, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and how they can reach you and show them that beautiful picture behind you as one of your examples?
Oh, this is a new piece that I painted. It's a Christmas bear, and I'm a watercolorist and a wedding officiant and a pre-arrival concierge and a wife and a dog mom and a bonus mom living in Vail, Colorado. Hooray, where it's a whopping 9 degrees this morning. We're having a heat wave. You and I have been friends for 1,000,000 years and 1,000,000 lifetimes, and we're taking it into the next lifetime.
Absolutely. We're going to rock it.
Yeah, maybe next time I can come and learn how to spell my own name. So I'm excited to be here with you every month and talk about things that matter and maybe things people don't want to talk about. Lisa and I talk about everything. We have no skeletons. We have no secrets. We have no
filter.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. No filter.
Yeah, no filter. We have no problem talking about struggles, and that's why we come on every month to make everyone feel that they're not alone.
Well, and sometimes we give them tools, and sometimes we just let them know how pathetic we are in the moment too, and that they're not alone.
Yeah,
balance.
Yeah, I mean, this just doesn't happen, you know.
But you know what's funny is people ask me that all the time. I believe that sometimes spilling the truth, that I'm not sitting here saying, here are the tools, this is what I do, blah, 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 and my life is perfect because of it. I think that's more appreciated because there's an understanding. And so I do think it's a tool as well to just show people it's okay to just say it. You know, it is what it is. It's okay to just be real and say it. So that's why I come on and just kind of, here it is. Take it or leave it kind of moments, because it's not what happens to us. It's what we do with it.
Yeah.
That's really the truth. We can't control what happens to us. And I had somebody tell me, well, you can change how you feel. And I said, well, kind of, but you have to feel it before you can change it. And so that's where I struggle with the society saying, just say you're happy. Just say you're this, just say you're that. It's like, why? You got to bring it up and look at it before you can change it. When I've talked to people who have big changes to make in their life because they've had a really poor pattern, you know, of behavior and reactions, you know, they want to deny those reactions. And I'm like, why would you deny them? Well, I'm ashamed of them. Okay, I can understand that, but you got to look at the shame and see what shamed you and what brought that shame and what made you feel that to change it. You have to acknowledge it. Oh, you want me to grovel? No. No, that may feel what it may be, what it feels like it when it's an uncomfortable feeling to acknowledge it, but no, but you can't change what you don't acknowledge. It's just the truth. So it's not that we made a mistake, and it's not that life was difficult or whatever it is. It's what we choose to do with it. And that's why I like to have Julie on the air, because Julie, I always tell everybody she's walking sunshine. So that we talk about that every time. I tell everybody literally that she's walking sunshine, and she is. But I also know that she's not afraid to say when she's not. And I've heard her cry and say, I don't know why everything has to be so hard. And I don't know why this is happening. And I don't know what to do with this. And I feel like I'm a good person, but this is happening. And it's not anything besides, I don't get it. But she can still go out and be happy and take what she's learning and feeling and do something positive with it. But it doesn't mean she doesn't feel it, acknowledge it. And it doesn't mean she doesn't get pissed off. Can I tell them about you last week when you had it?
Oh, yeah. Wait, what was that sound? Is it coming from the west? It's Julie hitting the wall.
Oh, truly, because I called Julie. I have two women in my life. Actually, Denise is listening. She's the other one. I call them my bitch gauge. When I'm going off the rails and I'm trying to decide whether I'm being rational and I have a right to feel what I'm feeling, or whether it's triggering something and I'm being irrational and I can't figure it out, Julie and Denise, I call them my bitch gauges because they are the nicest people. Like, they just are always so happy. And so if I call them and I go, okay, this is what happened, and if they find it annoying or aggravating, I feel now justified that I'm allowed to be angry about it. So they can just take it and go, yeah, I'm mad about it, but then turn it so fast. You know what I mean? And just turn it and find the positive in it so fast, faster than me often.
I think that's good swag. We can make a shirt or a sweatshirt. I'm a bitch gauge.
So I'm talking to Julie on the phone after a very difficult week, because we work together in Colorado. We work together. And I'm talking to her, and she had a very difficult week. And Julie does not F-bomb it. She'll say F, but she won't say the word. Like, she'll go effing thing or whatever, but she won't say the word. So I'm talking to her on her car ride home after a bad week. And she's effing this and effing that. And she's stuffing traffic, and she's just blowing off steam. And I'm trying not to laugh. And I am having sympathy for her because I knew how bad her week was. But I'm also trying not to laugh because I'm like, this is such a rare thing that I almost want to record it. Like, Julie doesn't snap. And then she's stuck in traffic. And Julie's always nice to everybody else. Like, she might have her couple people she vents to, but she's nice to the world. Like, she does not go out and be ugly to the world. And so the traffic starts again, and somebody gave her a dirty look, and she was like, "Oh, F you." And I'm like, at this point, holding my breath because not because Julie was snappy and I'm not laughing, but because in a weird way, her honesty in that moment of just true, I've had it, made me go, okay, Lisa, when you're irrational, even Julie can snap. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a moment. And she pulled herself out of it, which she always does. But that was the most, I think, in all the years I've known you that I have ever heard you like literally pop. And I had great heart. I felt bad that you had such a bad week, but I was literally holding my breath while you're venting. And I'm not judging it at all, but I'm like, in a way, going, thank God Julie has a temper too.
No, she does. Let me tell you, that guy was his life in his hand at that moment. I didn't even realize, you know?
So I said, if the traffic's bad and weather's bad, why don't you turn around and go back? And she goes, I'm not going back. I will sleep in my truck on this mountain.
I was prepared to sleep in my Jeep. I'm not going back in. And that's so funny. Isn't that kind of just like a parallel for life, right? You go through something in your life that's like terrible, and you think, well, you know, maybe I should go. I'm not going back. I'm moving forward. I'm not going back.
Exactly. Good for you. Exactly. That is a good
Sorry, guys.
view of life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how hard it is right now. Back there was worse.
Yeah. And you're not
forward
going
has
back.
to be something different.
Yeah.
Forward is my destination.
That's right.
Good for you. Very good. Look at you and your little puns there.
You think I'm not listening, Lisa? He's not listening, but I am listening. I spent some time yesterday at a wonderful market. 3 friends, artist friends of mine in the Vail Valley, and the Vail Valley's full of wonderful artistic people, of which I'm drinking out of this cup made by my Wabi Sabi mud friend.
Beautiful.
Willow Murphy, thank you. She does amazing work. But I'm standing there, and it's just, you know, it's the virus, it's the stress of the holidays, it's everything. And I'm having appreciation that I have all my little cards out. I brought my bear with me and all my stuff to sell. And it's just like peddling little stuff. But what joy there is in doing something you love and having and being able to offer it to people to bring them joy too. And we talk about this a lot. We call it, what tools do you have in your toolbox to get through whatever you have to get through in life? And not that it always has to be some big trauma, because it's not always about some big trauma. Maybe it's just a difficult day or a difficult time of the year or a difficult stretch of days or a difficult minute. Like, what do you use to get
through? And you're right, it doesn't always have to be some big trauma. Sometimes it's a bad month of the bills, or it's somebody doesn't feel well, but it's not life threatening, but they don't feel well, or maybe a friend upset you or hurt you, or it doesn't always have to be some theatrical event. Life brings us all kinds of things that are stressors and have you, and kind of depending on how big it is, I guess would depend on how much energy we kind of put into it and how long we've had it. Like when we talked about the wound last week, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, but that's where big pharma steps in, right? And says, here's what you're going to use to get back to center.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's legitimate cases that's sure. needed, but man, everyone's got to have something that brings them joy, or at least gets them out of their head.
Right.
And then being able to share that. Wow. Win, win, win. Like, I left there yesterday at all my, sold a ton of cards and met a ton of nice people, made some great connections. And just like driving down I-70 in my little Jeep with my little, wreath on the front with my red mitten, thinking, God, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for getting me out of the house and connecting with people and having people say, I just love this painting. And not everybody uses art or whatever. You give, Lisa, your time and your expertise and all the studying you've done. And I know personally, when I'm done talking to you, I feel better. And that's your gift. So maybe the finding the joy in your life is giving what you have to see that come back to you in a smile. Or
Well, I've always said that my rush, so to speak, when I do what I do, my rush, whether it be in my office, whether it be in my life, whether it be in a mediumship reading, whatever it is that's happening, is when I notice the eyes of somebody twitch and you realize all of a sudden a light bulb that had been dimmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it went on. My struggle in that was realizing that it wasn't then my responsibility to find all the other light bulbs and turn them on and then explain to them what they were seeing. I
Right.
had a hard time with that in the beginning. So it's finding the acceptance that just my only responsibility is when spirit presents the opportunity to help the light bulb get turned on, that it's other people's responsibility then to see what the light shows them around in their mind or what have you. But I know that rush that you're talking about. And that's what my belief is when people say gratitude. We tend to think that gratitude means that, I got everything I wanted, those types of things. And to me, gratitude is those moments like you had yesterday and like I've had too, where all of a sudden you feel that it's just a feeling. I don't even know how to describe it, but in that very moment, you were just exactly who you were meant to be. And you are doing exactly what you were truly meant to be in the core of you, because there's a core of you that's just grateful and happy.
Yeah.
And it's a real feeling. And even if we only feel that for moments or a day, to me, that's what gratitude is, because psychologically now, if you want to get into the science, it reminds our brain what that feels like. And so we will then start searching for it, because our brain will search for what feels good. But people who only see what they didn't get or what is wrong, their brain actually kind of forgets the feeling of that, the literal chemical release, the serotonin, the dopamine, the feelings, the chemicals to make your brain respond in a way to make your body feel it. So when we can only focus on what's wrong or what we don't have, our brain doesn't continue to produce those things anymore, because there's no need. Because what we've done in truth by choice is to choose our priorities. And your brain said, oh, sadness, despair, and anger is your priority. This is what we're choosing. Then I don't need to produce these things anymore.
Right.
And that's why people ask me a lot of times, like, is medication really necessary? Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if it has been such a prolonged period of time that your brain has actually really kind of stopped doing that. Yeah. But that moment that you had yesterday told your brain, woo, this feels good. This is what I'm searching for.
Yeah.
So now you're going to be more aware of opportunities to feel that again.
Yeah.
And here's the thing where I struggle with manifesting, because there's a belief that now all of a sudden the universe is going to create all these events for you. Well, I think the events are always going to be there. But now you're inside, your spirit, you're happy, your choice to be that is going to now see the events that it might not have noticed in the past. That to me is where the manifesting comes from. I struggle with the belief that spirit's up there going, oh, well, Julie likes this. Let's get these 10,000 people to make this event for Julie. See what I'm saying? I think these opportunities are always all around us, but we search for what we prioritize and what we value. And yesterday when you went, woo, that feels great. This is me. Thank you. That's the true gratitude, because you weren't just doing some false prayer hoping. You felt it. It was in your core. It came up in you. Your brain is processing and making all these chemicals and sending them through your body. So now your brain's going to go, woo, that does feel good. She likes that too. Let's go for that. And you're going to start noticing all these little opportunities that come up, because now it's going to be in search of that. And it happens both ways.
Right.
Literally
and I mean, truly how much power, I guess, is this cliche? The power is within us.
Absolutely. Sometimes we've got it buried down in the sludge.
Yeah.
And we forgot that the switch is under there. Sometimes it's shorted out. And that's where sometimes we need that help to get those.
And living from the heart, gratitude is a verb.
Yes.
Oh, you bet.
Right. And a lot of people that, hey, I'm thankful for. That's not gratitude.
Yeah, because the self-help book told me I'm supposed to say that.
Right. Gratitude is you're in the moment, as you just said. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong is okay, I get up in the morning and I'm going to write 4 things that I'm grateful for. My gerbil, my bird, my worry stone I get to rub,
Well, yeah, he gets to use as a prop.
Right. that wasn't the right pocket. Anyway, but you understand what I'm saying
Right.
is and it's in those moments. I think living through grace and through the heart. Last week, she had to do that. That's
Right.
living from the heart. If you weren't living from the heart, f-bombing everything and being mad,
She had to release that pressure.
exactly, right?
She
You
needed
would
to
have
explode.
tamped it all
And that's
down.
why I said I didn't judge it
Yeah.
at all. I was actually grateful to see.
Yeah.
Woo, even she does that. Because that's me a lot of times in the car. Just a lot of people
Sure.
aren't hearing it. But
Oh, they
yeah,
are.
it was actually a blessing in a way to know, because that's me sometimes in the car going, what the you know,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
But and as crazy as it seems, you have to release that. And does writing those things down help? It actually really does,
It does.
for many. And here's the reason why. There are some people who have been on that other side for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to rewire their brain to refocus on positive things. And that actually takes effort. When you focus on one thing, for so long, it takes effort to do that rewiring.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who genuinely understand that, writing those lists could be helpful, because when they catch themselves falling backwards, they can go, wait a minute, that's not the truth of my life. I have this too. And it's teaching their brain to go from, no, we're not going to go there. We're going to go back here. No, we're not going to go there. We're going to go back here. And the problem that I see, and the problem that I have in the office sometimes, is that people want it.
Yeah.
I want to leave your office in an hour, and I don't want to remember what that was like. I only want to see this. And I always tell them, if I had that power, honestly, I'd make Oprah look poor. There would be such a lineup of people. That's just not how it works. I tease. It's kind of like getting fat. Then you want to be thin overnight. But the truth is you didn't get fat overnight either. You know what I mean? It's a process. It's a way of living. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of doing, and it's behaviors. And then you have to go, woo, no, we're not going to go there again. Just like, no, I'm not turning around. I'd rather sleep in my Jeep. I'm still going forward. And it's rewiring the brain to say no, because your brain will instantly go back to what it's most comfortable with. And when people have lived in situations that were very negative, traumatic, abusive, whatever it is, for a long period of time, that is what's normal. So we have to change our normal, right? We have to change it to another direction. And those lists can help to do that when somebody's trying to do that process. So when we say these things, we are not saying don't do some of these things. My struggle and the point that I try to get across is that is also only a tool and a step. There is no one miracle step for everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Denise says, I started listing 10 things I'm grateful for every morning a couple weeks ago. I'm already seeing a shift in myself.
That's awesome.
Right. And it is. It's just because things get stressful. And
Morning,
here's the
Ted.
thing, Denise, thank you for saying that, Denise, because Denise is probably one of the most positive people I know, and she's a spiritual coach.
I love her syrup too.
He's on it this morning, Lisa.
And he said it was us. He said it was us, right?
He did say it was us.
And
I can verify that.
And she knows, you know what, though? One of the tools that I know works for me is when I start to see the struggle, and the struggle is my focus, one of the things that work for me is my list to remind me that that's not really what my life is. So thank you. I mean, and that's a perfect example, because even people who know this, feel this, think it, and I talk about it like the week of the oxycodone, and I talked about that I wrote in my book. I knew all the facts, but there came a moment when I went, whew, and you have two choices when you figure it out. I'm going to accept that and go, no, we're going back a different direction, or I'm going to keep going downhill. It's just the way it is. So good for you, Denise.
It's isn't it possible too, Lise, to in your head recognize familiarity for comfort, right? So some people just live in perpetual misery, and they think it's okay because it's familiar, and they're afraid to go try something else.
Because the unfamiliar is scarier.
Yeah. What if you
the unknown is scarier than what at least they know they can expect and predict?
That's right.
Absolutely. And that's what we did a show a long time ago. Pete and I did it actually, called Tipping the Scales. And that's what happens, is that we have to get to a point. When does change happen? We have to get to the point where the unknown is now less scary than feeling how you're feeling the rest of your life.
And that's big.
Here's the problem. We want to push people's scales down real hard to make them see, and you can't. The person has to make the choice.
Right.
And we tend to, and I've been caught in this trap too, think that it's our responsibility to show them. And I struggle with that because I believe it's our responsibility to be the best example that we can provide within ourselves for the possibilities of that.
Right. And I think that that's, you just hit it on the head, because I was sort of thinking while you were talking, I can't force you to see that there's something else for you. But if you see that I found the something else for me, maybe you'll think it's possible.
Right.
You know?
And then
maybe,
during that process, I screwed up. And
Wow.
during that process, I fell down. And during that process, these things happened. And that during this process, I did things I'm ashamed of. I did things I'm not proud of. I responded and reacted in ways that I'm not proud of. And that during this process, it was really, really difficult. And it was only me who made myself keep fighting for it and keep walking forward. But to let people, and that's why I like being so open about it, to make people who haven't been offered that in their life circle, you know, or their family dynamic or what have you, also not only see our success, but see the difficulty and struggle and hurt within it. Isn't that to play the victim, it's to show the truth.
Right.
Because if somebody only sees the outcome, they don't think they have hope for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's too far away for me.
Well, isn't it? There's like this old coin phrase.
Then they realize, ooh, some of those pieces, I stepped on that path. You know, that was a part of what I did too. Oh, they made those mistakes too. Maybe I'm not the heathen of the world who's undeserving.
Right.
You know? So by offering people opportunity to be real, we have to be real. And that's why, like I said, I brought up the thing in the car Friday. I even called my mom after I hung up with you and said, "Oh, Julie's snapping. I think it's Armageddon."
You told our mom? You told Donna?
I did.
Oh, God. Huh.
And I agree, Denise.
I think there's no such thing as an overnight success. I always love that. You know, someone will pop up on the music scene or an actor, or all of those people that are real people, really, but we emulate and try to be them in their Facebook self. But anyway, there's no like overnight success.
Right.
You know,
and here's the thing, success does happen in an instant.
Yes. There's an ornament.
The instant.
Right. There's an ornament yesterday that she had hanging on a tree, and it was like one of my favorite sayings: "No mud, no lotus."
Oh, no, I never heard that before.
No transformation. Like, you can't get to where you're going unless you walk through a little mud, and you can't really be in the mud unless you feel the mud. And then you come out of the mud and you can't recognize the goal and the happiness unless you have that other thing, right? How do you call it, Lise? Yin yang?
Right, because here's the thing is that you look at how many people got handed something, and I use this as an example often, where they got handed the winning lottery ticket. So now they think their life is going to be perfect. But guess what? They hadn't, the majority, if you read, this is true stories, if you read about lottery winners, the majority of them hadn't learned how to handle that.
Right, Gary.
So they lose it because they've never seen themselves as that. They don't know how to live with that. They don't know how to decipher that. And their brain is trying to get back to their normal. So they lose all the money in a short period of time because their brain wants to rush back to where it's comfortable. So part of the difficult process can be by filtering and bringing this up and seeing it and molding and changing as we go. It's allowing us to accept our success as it's handed to us. What we tend to think is that the success is the end goal, when the truth is the success is saying, no way, I'm going to sleep in my damn Jeep before I'm going back there. I'm only going forward. That to me is the success. It's saying, you know what, I'm not going backwards, no matter how hard this is, no matter how scary it is, and no matter what risk gets put in front of me, even if it's my life freezing to death here right now, I will do that before I'm going backwards. Yeah. That to me is success.
Gary says, because lotuses grow their roots in mud and they submerge fully every night and rebloom again the next day.
I mean, what a great example, right? I was reading this book on listening. I'm a big audiobook person. I would suggest it to anybody. And thank you, Donna. Thank you. XO to you. Sorry. I've adopted so many moms in my life. I have moms coming out my ears, thankfully. I've been listening to this book, and he said just what you just said, Lise. He said, and he used the lottery winner for an example. He said, have you ever had a point where you've been so happy and all of a sudden things start running through your head to worry about? It's almost like we don't
It's
think we
self-sabotage.
right. Yes. We don't think we deserve to be that happy in that moment. We have to, oh, I hope my daughter's okay. Oh, geez, I wonder if my car's going to break down. Like, why?
That's the self-sabotage. And that's what peeling the onion actually is. It's taking that moment and knowing that that moment's genuine. But rather than saying, no, that's not true. No, I'm not going to look at that. Saying, what's making me think that? What part of me still believes that I'm not worthy?
Right.
Let's look at what that is, because we don't want to feel that anymore. We know, our conscious adult wise mind knows that that's not true. But there's still something in there saying it is. Let's just look at it. Because once you bring it up from the dark, so to speak, meaning it's buried, and you look at it in the light and go, this is what it is. Oh, look at, you know what? That's not what I thought it was all these years.
Right.
Then that's how you finally really just let it go. And that's what therapy or processing or whatever word you want to use for whatever choice you use to do it does. It's not meant to tell you what is truth. It's meant to bring up what is not.
Right. Right. And I think, I was listening and it was really like good. I really tried to do this in this last week and it's really hard. But what if everyone that paid you a compliment, no matter how small or insignificant or large, you didn't rebut with, wow, Julie, that's a great, okay. Wow. Julie, I love that bear picture. Yeah. But you see this one part in his leg. I just wish I would have done something different. Why not just say thank you?
Right. Because I am a bad receiver.
I know you are. That's why I'm bringing this up.
I'm a terrible receiver.
And I think
something that I've concentrated on is not to have the right words to say, because I'm so uncomfortable. I don't have the right words to say, but to learn how to just say, thank you.
Small start. Like
Ted has a good point here.
Yeah.
And I can't read it fully.
So Ted says, with each step in the right direction, there are things to gain and things to lose. Those that remember that, and that there is no such thing as normal in life the further they go. Normal for here and now isn't necessarily normal for tomorrow.
Right. That is 100% true, because we only have so much energy. Yeah. So in order to bring in new, we got to let go of something. So there's always a take and a loss. Depending on what the loss is where we can struggle and where our fear is. Sometimes it's losing our family.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's knowing that we need to stop a dysfunctional pattern or whatever it is in our family, and to step away. And we know that that's what we need to do. And we know that that's right can be too scary because it's the loss of something great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the loss of the control, because the unknown has no control.
There's the word
of the unknown. And you know what's funny? That's actually such a false belief. Because in each moment, we do have control of our response. And 10 minutes from now is unknown. And we're going to have the same that we have right now. But we look at it as this big, broad venture of scary, big, empty world. Yeah. And the truth is we have those choices in every single moment. So the unknown, even like Ted said, the unknown for tomorrow or the unknown for this afternoon is still unknown.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of broaden out and go, but you know what? We're in control of this, and decide, what is it I want to lose? What do I need to lose? And sometimes what we want is not what we need.
Mm-hmm.
True story.
Yeah. And hindsight's 20/20. Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the truth. I mean, people say, but 20 years ago I did this. Right. But you're looking at it from 20 years of life experience.
Right.
And a lot of people stay in that 20 years ago. And that's a hard thing. I know a lot of people, of course, I've been able to meet a lot of people through this station, and a lot of them, you'll hear stories and you're like, that just happened? Oh no, that was back in 1970. What?
Well,
but they live it like it's right now.
Because, and what I've discovered, and sometimes what the reason that is that for whatever reason they got locked in, and maybe they had a major disappointment, or maybe a major thing that they thought was going to happen didn't. So they had a huge expectation that was let down.
Yeah.
So rather than looking at the disappointment and taking that disappointment and saying, okay, why am I disappointed? Why was my expectation so high? And why was losing this mean that everything's gone? And kind of evaluating that, they go, no, I'm going to stay where I was happy because I knew I was good then. Yeah. Because that sense of disappointment caused a sense of failure, when sometimes it's really not. Sometimes it's our greatest growth.
Yeah.
But we can get locked in there if it's very traumatizing. Because as my mom's even said, if you really want to, right, reminds me often, if you really want to be damaged, have huge expectations, especially of other people.
Right, of other people. Please. Yeah.
You know, amen to that. That's
And
the
so sometimes people get so hurt they lock into what was good, you know, when they believe that, almost justifying their belief. I was locked into that for a little while, where I believed in something so strong that caused me a lot of harm. And I started to see that it wasn't good for me, and that it wasn't what I had been expecting and envisioning wasn't going to be the outcome. But there was almost a shame in going, but I believed in it so much, it has to be.
Yeah.
So you lock in and you hold on to it, because there's some kind of a failure in the feeling of, or an embarrassment even in the feeling of, but it didn't work. And I did all those things to make it work. And we can get locked in that too, you know, where we're afraid to move forward. So we stay in the stagnant past when we believed things were good.
familiarity.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to step out of familiarity. It's hard, you know. We get so used to our pattern and stuff, and then you wake up and you feel a little like, I think that there's something more, but I don't want to let all this go because this is what I know and this is
Right.
working. Is it really? Are you your best self? Do you feel fulfilled? You know, and I don't know. Like I said, I moved to Colorado and cried for 3 months straight.
I'll have to find, I wrote an old blog about it. I don't know when it was, in the last few years or what have you, called Empty Your Bucket. And it was kind of a spirit guided thing one morning when I was thinking about stuff. And I'll just give the picture scenario of it since we're talking on the air and I don't have it in front of me. But they're basically explaining that life would be like walking down the beach, and you have your bucket of all the shells that you've collected your whole life that are so precious to you. And you're walking down the beach and you're searching for new, because you're looking for new. You know, you want more. You know, there's something else out there. You know, it's there and you're searching for it, but you won't let go of your completely full bucket. So when you find the new and you see the big, beautiful shell, you're forced to look and go, but I've had these forever. And some of them are broken and some of them are damaged. And some of them maybe you don't want anymore. And some of them don't appeal to you anymore because that was your taste 30 years ago. You know what I mean? But you won't let go of the bucket. So you're forced to even realize the only way I can walk forward is to dump this bucket, take what truly still matters,
Right.
leaving space for the new. And it was kind of that, you know, then I can search the beach, I can walk the beach, and I can search for the new, the exciting, the things I haven't seen, for the things that appeal to me now in my life, and I have room in my bucket for them. So you have to have loss in order to have, and I don't know, I don't know where all my old blogs are. That is my organizational skills.
For the young listeners out there, could you define a blog?
Kent.
I used to write. You know what's funny? It's not even a blog, really. You know, Facebook used to have, or Book of Face used to have notes where you could write similar to a blog. And I used to write them, and I think they took them all away. I can't find them anymore. Like they disappeared, and I didn't save them because, well, I'm disorganized.
But another great tool, right? Another great tool.
You what?
Another great tool. Make a list. You know, Denise makes lists. Write a blog. Write a paragraph. Go somewhere and just write and write. Free write. You know, sit with a notebook and just have your hand just go and go and go and breathe and breathe and breathe. Yep, a diary. There you go, Gary. Whatever happened to those?
Gary, I agree. Diaries are now called journaling, but these were things that I would
publish
to the world.
Yeah,
you know, I post out into the world for the world to see.
So here's the cool thing, and what I absolutely love about you, Lisa, and of course Julie, is, you know, living through, from the heart through grace. And grace is defined as elegance or beauty of form, manner, motion, or action. And so as I'm just sitting here listening, her event last week where she hit the tipping scale was actually a grace-filled moment for you, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's just, as I sit here, I'm like, all right, I had to look up grace, because being a good Christian guy, you know, it's like, right. But I'm like, I'm like, you know, it's elegance or beauty of form, manner, motion, or action. And it's cool how we can meet each other. You can catch one of your bitch gauges and catch a little grace from that.
Right.
I think that's cool.
Right. Just to validate yourself. And it
Yeah.
is true. Julie's moment of explosion and releasing was a moment of grace for me because it kind of made me go, okay, Lisa, you're not so bad when you lose your cool.
Yeah.
Everybody loses their cool. Because Julie and Denise, all right, if they're losing their cool, then it's either Armageddon or this is just really a moment because they're just in my life that they're people that I base that on, engage that on.
Yeah.
Because I am, for those of you who didn't realize, I can be quite outspoken.
No.
Kent, were you ready for that? I wasn't ready for that.
No, she just changed my perception.
Wow. It's a whole new world.
And so there are
There's a bit of grace right there.
that I have strong attachment to in belief systems that I'm working on. And I'm working on them because I'm aware of them. So it's not that they're all fixed, but I'm very aware of them. So when I start to feel like, oh, wait a minute, are you being reasonable or are you triggered? Which way is this? And I can't figure it out because sometimes I can't because you're so emotionally charged,
Julie, my 19-year-old daughter, Colette, refers to Lisa as the one who will tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, amen to that. Can I have a hallelujah, people?
That's right.
Yeah.
Ted says the one thing, the other thing is we fail because we bring today's failures into tomorrow. Take the gains from today into tomorrow. Let go of yesterday's failures each day.
Well, and also, that's true. Thank you for that. And also, sometimes failure is the universe's way of saying you're on the wrong direction. This isn't the path
that was
for
a
you.
mic drop right there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you know that I went through a whole month of my life, and this is something goofy, right? I don't think I've ever. Chris is the only one in the whole world that knows it. I went through a whole month of my life that every day.
That's right.
Every day I put a t-shirt, like I wear undershirts because I'm cold all the time now. I put them on backwards. For whatever reason, every time, like a month, every time I put my shirt on, and Chris looked at me, he's like, someone's trying to tell you you're going the wrong way.
Awesome. Isn't that
way
something?
To go, Chris.
I mean, he looked at me like, surely his wife is
going for that one.
I know. Now I'm sure he's running back. It's a true story, So, recognize something literal that's happening to you and you think it's just a nuisance. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, what was that?
Wow.
Crazy.
Isn't that
right? Because there's signs from the universe, right? Or from whatever it is you believe in. There's ways of telling us.
Crazy. And
it's in the mystical ways.
Yeah. It was nuts, you guys. It was nuts. And I would feel like I was looking at the stupid tag, and I put it on, I'm like, I'll be a son of a gun. It's on again today. Chris.
Way to go, Chris.
Yeah.
Look how insightful he can be.
My own Norwegian guru.
That's it.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Her husband's the bomb.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah, I tell her all the time she's stocked up one of the good ones in the world here.
As we say, he's a good cat.
Good cat.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of living from the heart too. I mean, a lot of times we step outside of the heart, right, and try to go through from the head,
right.
And really, this whole series has been get out of your own head and start moving from the heart.
Because here's the truth: when you stop, if you really allow yourself to see clearly, when you're thinking from your head and you're making a decision completely from your head, pay attention to what your thoughts are. They will have other people's voices. They will have other people's eyesight. They will have other people's values.
Wow.
Truly.
Sure.
Because what will somebody else think? Well, what will it look like when they come over for this? Yeah. What will they think when they come here? What will they think I did a good job? Will they be proud of me? And it's truly, we do think like that. We do use our conscious minds, but when we're only there,
right, we
forgot all about what our whole goal was.
Or when mom's coming to visit your house.
Right.
Oh boy.
Right. And
everybody start dusting.
Right.
Yeah.
What will they think of it?
Yeah.
What are they going to right? So when we're only in the brain, our decisions are not our decisions.
Sure.
It's our decision to make other people more valuable than we are. Mm-hmm. That is our conscious decision in that moment. And we don't realize it. So when you start to get locked in that, by just stopping and going, literally, that's part of NLP. It's part of the NLP thing that I do. Because when I do NLP, I ask people really annoying questions. And I do it on purpose. And it's guiding them in a certain direction until all of a sudden they realize, hey, wait a minute. This doesn't make sense anymore. Right. But it's about digging up from that unconscious part of the mind that has nothing to do with your best interest.
Mm-hmm.
Truly has nothing to do with your best interest. And so it brings it up. So when you catch yourself, just ask yourself and try to look at it and just be honest with yourself clearly. Okay. Whose voice is that? Whose eyes am I looking at this view from? Because we picture situations, right? We picture like the holiday get together. We picture those things. Mm-hmm. Whose eyes am I looking at this through? Or if I'm looking at it through my eyes, who am I hoping is going to approve of what I'm seeing? Mm-hmm. And that's when we start to break down and realize how much of our brain is based on the society perception that we've absorbed.
Yeah, so, we're in the middle of a move right now. So our house is in boxes. And, last night, we cleaned out a corner, my oldest daughter and her boyfriend and I, and set up a Christmas tree.
Nice. Right?
Because Alice, my wife, is stressed. Moving is not easy, right?
Oh,
changes, especially after 18 years. And we're tired and stressed, and we're excited at the same time because it's a cool new place. But we're also a week out from Christmas, right? And it's been very hard because in that moving process, you can't go out and buy gifts, you can't spend money, all that kind of stuff. So what we decided to do was, hey, we've got to try to make this as Christmassy as possible, right?
And let's make the memory our gift.
For mom, right? Yeah. So, and it was at that minute, kind of that grace-filled minute, that gratitude portion where I was just like, okay. Because I was like, I don't give a shit about a tree, just whatever. I hate Christmas anyway, And but I had to step outside of myself to go, okay, what's needed, and that's cool,
right? And what does it need to make my environment, the energy of my environment, and my home, and the people I truly love, and truly, I will tell you, your wife doesn't listen though, right?
No, I'm on here. She doesn't.
So you did. So you did that, and you did that from your heart, out of love for your wife. And I will tell you that my belief, and Julie and I were just talking about this the other day because I'm a sap for that stuff. Mm-hmm. That to me, if I were her, would be the great. You couldn't purchase me a gift.
Yeah.
Bigger than I'm gonna cry. He stopped and saw me. He stopped and saw what was important to me, and even though it wasn't something important to him, he said, "But she is." Mm-hmm. And therefore, what's important to her is she is. And one year, somebody decorated my house for Christmas outside. Now, my husband was a good man, but when it came to outside lights, you got the string on the gutter and leave me the hell alone.
That's more than I do.
And I'm putting it up in October because I'm not going out in the freaking snow. And he just didn't do inside, all cool. But outside in the cold, no, we don't need that. We're not looking at that. That's this for ours is in the house. Like he just didn't do it.
Oh, that's the way I am.
And I've always been a Christmas person up until 2014. Like I said, and I've decided this is the last year that I mourn Christmas, and next year I'm going to be me again. And somebody decorated the whole outside of my house. I'm going to cry. And it was bitter cold. And they came and decorated the whole outside of my house, and beautiful lights and reindeers. And there were lights everywhere. And I bawled. There's no gift that could have been given more. Do you think they wanted to stand out there in the bitter cold and do that for me? Yeah. I doubt it, nor did their teenage son who was forced to assist. And was that important to them? No, they wasn't something they normally did. But in that moment, what you felt is really loved. Yeah. Like, it's not that this was important to them. It's that I was important to them. And therefore, in that, what was important to me became important to them. Yeah. And that's what Pete and I talked about. We're going to do a show on relationships and marriage and stuff at some point. Sure. Because those are the types of things that get lost. Julie and I just had to talk about this recently. It's those types of things that get lost when we live up here. Mm-hmm. And why my personal belief is the majority of marriages fail. Mm-hmm. Because we're so focused on having to have the perfect house, the perfect car, you know what I mean? The perfect party, the perfect everything, that we forget those moments and why they matter.
Right.
Why they matter. So even though the tree isn't important to you, she is. And you're basically saying, It doesn't matter that it's important to me. It matters that it's important to you, and what's important to you is important to me because you're important to me. And what other gift can you give besides selfless offering?
Yeah.
Because that's what you gave her. Selfless offering. You're not enjoying it. You're not finding pleasure in it. It's not even important to you, but you're offering her your heart and soul to say. Nothing to me says I love you more than that.
And
you could
truly,
100 times and nothing would say I love you more than that.
And truly, the gain for Kent, I think, Lisa and Kent, we're talking about you like you're not here, is that he gets to look at the woman he loves and see her happy. And what makes him more happy than her happiness?
And to know he contributed to it. He was a part of it.
Yeah. And he's happy. She's happy.
That's the bond. Right.
Right.
You know, and it's those things that matter. And that's when we are living from our heart. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily, living from your heart isn't a cliche. It's a mixture of things. And one of them is the vulnerability to love somebody enough to give offering.
Yeah.
To give offering.
And really, you know, when I do wedding ceremonies, one of the things I say is marriage and really relationships of any kind. It's a sacred exchange of giving and receiving. And it's like that thing when you drop the ball and it goes back and forth and all the other ones and all the other ones. It's endless. Once you start the ball rolling, it's endless. It's endless. You keep giving and then you'll keep receiving. You don't give freely without the expectation, which should be a 4-letter word, expectation. Man, oh man, have I learned that. But not without the expectation, but it's just the way of the world. It's the way of love in your heart. And just keep giving it. You know, it's always amazing to me. I go down, I say good morning and hello to everybody, like in the grocery store, the hardware store, except for that guy that cut me off in the traffic circle last Friday. No hello to him. No hellos for you. I'm like the soup nut. What was he? The traffic nuts.
Yeah, that's
right. But yeah, I mean, people are kind of shocked. Like they look at you like, what do you want? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, good morning. And it's so funny. You hope that catches one person and they're in a line, say good morning. It's so corny, but man, it's easy to make somebody happy.
Well, and you said something incredibly important. That's part of that, because here's the reality. We all do it with an expectation.
Oh.
Every single time. So to evaluate what our expectation is what will make the difference.
Yeah.
So is our expectation to feel good about ourselves? Because if it makes you feel good in that moment, you're searching for the feel good. Okay. If your expectation is, if Kent's expectation is, I'm glad your wife doesn't listen.
Don't say it.
The wife sees the Christmas tree. He gets a few hours upstairs, and that's why he put up the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is no longer of value, right? Because that was a manipulation.
What did you say? A few hours?
The naps included.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm dying over here.
So we got a few hours. That's 3. So 2 hours and 55 minutes of nap.
That's right.
But my point is that would be manipulation.
Yeah.
And that wasn't from the heart. That was something that you chose to do to get something out of it. And that's where we fall. Like, what is the truth? Now, do we do some things sometimes for somebody else because we're going to gain something out of it? Of course we do. That's life. Yeah. There has to be that balance. But when we're talking about the true heartfelt, like the tree for your wife and the lights on my house, and you know what I mean? That's just genuine, because what I got out of it was to see I contributed to how happy you are. Mm-hmm. And how happy you are makes me happy because I love you. That's a genuine exchange.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Julie, that yesterday, I'm holding. We were at basketball games, and then we went to Olive Garden and everything like that. But I'm holding doors and talking to people. Everybody's got their masks on, and I'm like, "Merry Christmas! Have a Merry Christmas!" And it caught people off guard.
It does.
That somebody's actually talking to me and holding a door or whatever, and that struck me too. Very odd that it's so odd now for just to have that. Hey, hi, how are you? Merry Christmas.
It's funny. I do it at work because I don't follow their script that they give us, because I answer phones sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not really a script follower.
No.
And I'll say, hi, thank you for calling. Yeah. And in the workplace, this is Lisa. May I ask who's calling, please? And they tell me their name, and then they're expecting to just start talking. I'll go, oh, good morning, Bill. How are you?
Yeah.
And they stop.
I know. Me too.
I'm well, thank you. How are you? I'm doing pretty well. I'm hanging in there. Now, what can I do for you? And their whole demeanor from rushed, and this is how it's going to work, goes,
Oh, I've got a
oh,
human.
well, I was planning
Yeah.
on coming with my family. This is what, and their whole demeanor just drops and calms. Because what you do, you stopped the cycle,
Right.
put the brain in check because their brain's already 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And made them rethink. And Tony Robbins, I told when I had you do the watch I'm Not Your Guru.
Yeah.
He throws the F-bomb out nonstop in his thing. And people said, why do you do that? That's so unprofessional. And he says, is it? Or does it shock you when I get your attention?
Right.
You're not focused on me talking to you and what it is I have to say. Because what happens is when we're going to talk to somebody about something uncomfortable, they are already 10 steps into deflecting it, convincing you that you're wrong and arguing you. They're not hearing a damn thing you're saying. Right. But if you can stop that process and shock it, they actually hear you. So even by saying, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Now they're talking to me. They're talking with me. There's a flow back and forth. I've got their attention. Right. Before they made the phone call, they're already determined what they're going to tell me and what the outcome's going to be. And they already have that preconceived thing. So I'm going to stop that in motion.
Hold the phones. Yeah.
So even when you see somebody having a bad day, and it's so funny because people are like, well, they're crabby. I'm not going to say that. That's the person who needs it the most. Yeah. That person who looks pissed off is the person who needs your good morning the most. Right. And you are not responsible for their response to your good morning. To me, our responsibility is offering the good morning.
Yep. And it's so funny, Lise, because you say that and you say, how are you? And then they're almost, now you have their attention. Then they're almost by just manners,
right?
Say, just by manners, how are you? And then they're even more screwed up in their head because they've totally, and then you say, I am so great. Thank you for asking. And they're like, hey, what's going on?
Right. This isn't normal.
Right.
People are supposed to be bitter and spiteful. And why aren't you? And I was prepared for you to be that rude girl.
Yeah. Right. Just out of pure shock.
That's right.
Because I've said to people who are really rude on the phone, really rude and obnoxious on the phone, well, we have two choices here right now. You can continue to be rude and then I won't be able to help you because you haven't actually told me what it is that you needed. Or we could just take a breath now. And I understand that you're upset and you can tell me what it is you actually need and see if I can help you. What would you like to do?
Here's a nugget from
and people tell me you're going to get fired. And I'm like, if I get fired for that, then go ahead. Because it's just stopping emotion. I'm not being mean. I'm just presenting a fact to somebody who's probably going to screw up the rest of their day and half their relationships if somebody doesn't just very kindly go chill.
Yeah. Right. But here's another thing though. And I think that this is something to keep in perspective. And Lisa and I are in a business where we run into all kinds of people and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. You cannot let your life be affected by a 7-minute relationship.
Correct.
Or a 2-minute relationship. And I'm preaching to the choir of my traffic circle debacle from last week. But, you got to keep that into perspective. That's their deal. And you don't know where they're traveling and you don't know where they are in their life. You have a 7-day, 7-minute, 7-hour relationship with somebody. Let them be them. Give them everything you can, even if it is for yourself, and move on.
We're down to 3 minutes, just FYI. You're correct. And I used the example when I was doing groups at the school with the teenagers of how many times have you seen people, probably parents in the drive-through kind of thing, even at McDonald's, and the order got messed up and they're pissed off for hours.
Yeah.
Some people call
911. 2 minutes of their life and they didn't get the pickle.
Yeah.
And now I can see where that might be a little frustrating because if that's really what you were counting on, right? But it's now a problem for the rest of the day. And every single opportunity, situation, thing in front of them is now affected and all negative because of 2 minutes of their life.
And a pickle
was wasted in the drive-through because they didn't get a pickle. I mean, it sounds funny, but think about it. There's really people who react to everything like that. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to go attack 10 people or affect 10 people negatively because they're still mad about, in truth, a freaking pickle.
It's right? Right. Is it really about the pickle? That's another show. Is it really about the pickle?
Is it about the pickle?
That was welcome to listeners that would probably misunderstand, Julie, and then Kent,
maybe they should tune in and listen to the real thing then.
See whose pickle we're referring to.
Is it a sweet or a dill? Oh, never mind.
Is it a midget? Or a spear?
It's 9 degrees. It's 9 degrees out.
The wheels are off the bus. The bus is in the
Yes,
ditch. It's on fire.
Let's go right down the
What
toilet.
what a great way to
30
finish the
seconds
show.
left and down the toilet it goes.
Oh shoot! Of
All
course, this is Lisa's Changing Perceptions. Please send all of your comments to Lisa's Changing Perceptions at gmail.com.
Probably not the best show to end that with.
Yeah, right.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Go hide the pickle.
Yeah, that's it.
But will we see them on January 2nd?
Who's that?
Will we have a show the day
Yeah,
after
we
New
can
Year's?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
We will see everybody just after the New Year's and the year with grace, everybody.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas,
Yeah,
y'all.
Merry Christmas. Bye, Jules. Thanks for
Bye,
coming
honey.
on.
Love you.
If I get pickle emails, I'm gonna die.